Hello. How are you doing?
Hey Daisy, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry to wake you up so early.
No, I get up early anyways. I'm up by like 6 my time usually.
Oh,
I got some tea since you're in England. I made some tea.
cool, man. I was going to pour some wine and I was like, no, that could really end badly.
That's how you should do it. That's the way to do it.
Ends up like a spicy, awful, like drunk conversation.
I
Oh,
mean, yeah, it might go downhill, but it might get really good.
good point. Oh, well, thank you for spending some time with me today, man. I really appreciate it. Cool.
Yeah, my
Um,
pleasure. This is cool.
Awesome. So I guess for like the people that will be watching this that don't know who um, you are the Ben Staley, like amazing photographer, cinematographer, filmmaker, and you've done some pretty awesome stuff, like oh gosh, Deadliest Catch, Ice Road Truckers. I haven't watched Ice Road Truckers, but I will do. Oh no!
No, I'm not a fan of that show. Whatever. That's on the resume, I guess.
You've got something new out on Netflix though. What was it? It was
Yeah, and
Pirate Gold of Adak Island. Is that what?
yeah, and strangely, I just got a message like 5 minutes ago. It's up to number five in the US for like TV shows. So it's up there with like Stranger Things, which is pretty crazy.
Yes, man, that's insane.
It's really insane. Like, I didn't honestly think anybody would see it or watch it or hear about it. And now it's number five in the whole country. And in New Zealand, it was yesterday, as somebody said, it's number three. It's like, so I don't know. It's only been out a couple days, so we'll see if it goes up or down or who knows. I
that's
don't know, but yeah,
that's good. Well done, man. You were filming that during the pandemic, weren't you, or just before?
we filmed that in late 2020, so it was like uh, September, October into November. Yeah, Adak Island is an island in the Aleutian chain. It's actually closer to mainland. It's actually closer to Japan than mainland U.S. So it's way out there, and it was like a forward operating base during the Cold War. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Japanese invaded and occupied the Aleutian Islands during World War II. They actually were, encamped on American soil. And we fought a brutal war out there in the Pacific on the Bering Sea with the Japanese. And finally, drove them out of there. There are a lot of unknown battles, but really crazy stuff. And a lot of people think that historians will say that because the Japanese were struggling and trying so hard to take hold of the Aleutian chain and then Alaska because it was so strategically important to the world, they overextended themselves there, and it probably cost them the war in the Pacific and ultimately the war. It was so brutal out there. Both sides, American and Japanese, lost more planes and had more casualties just because of the weather. So
Eesh, man, that's insane. I know what
it's
I'm.
insane history that most people don't know.
That's crazy. Oh well, that's awesome. I'm really excited to watch it. I'll let you know what I think. Cool, man. So
Of course you will. Yeah.
I will. You know me. Cool, man. So I've got a whole bunch of questions to ask you, but I just thought like it might just be good to start at the very beginning. So tell us a bit about your childhood and
Cool.
your
Well, this is always the hardest thing to do. Now talk about yourself. Um, I uh, I was I was born and raised in Alaska. Uh, the Reader's Digest version, we lived way off the grid. So I lived in a little cabin until I went to college. I didn't have electricity or indoor plumbing. Had an outhouse. Had to chop a lot of wood. We hunted moose and caribou and harvested salmon and things like that for the majority of our food. So I did live that kind of rural, off grid, um, almost, very Spartan, very, very much like something how people would have lived over 100 years ago or something. That's how I grew up. So now I live in Southern California with all the cool people. I'm still not cool, but whatever.
You're pretty cool. Do you think you could ever go back to that kind of lifestyle, like living like day to day, having to get your food like that?
Yes,
or
like tomorrow. Yeah,
really?
like if I could figure out a way to make that work, yeah, and maybe not like full time, but like for half the year, hell yes.
That'd be so
Like
cool.
give me, I don't want to see anybody. I need a little cabin. I need some mountains. I need a lot of animals running around. I would do that tomorrow if I could make that work in my life.
That'd be sweet. No, I think I told you I was reading some of your stuff on your website, the memoirs of an Alaskan. And the one story that stuck out to me was when you were a kid and you had to like basically rescue your smaller brother from a bear. I was like, what the hell? In your teepee, like, I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but I was like, dude, this guy needs to write like a full-length feature film, because I'd watch that and then some more.
Yeah. I mean, okay, Daisy. It's a stretch to say I rescued him from a bear, but he was playing in a creek, and there was a bear about 4 or 5 feet away from him. So, I don't think the bear was really interested in him, but you never know. Um, but that was pretty common. I mean, we had bears in the front yard. There's another story that I've written. I don't think it's up on my website at this point. I have a whole bunch of stories that used to be on a blog and then that went away, and I'm sort of repopulating them onto my current website. But there was another time when we were walking in to our cabin in the springtime. It was like over a mile road to get in to where we were. And in the springtime, it'd be really muddy, so you couldn't drive. So you would have to park out by the highway and then walk in with groceries, walk in with whatever. And typically what we'd do is we'd all walk in, and then my mom would ride back out on a horse, get all the heavy stuff, and then bring it back on horseback. But we had a big family. So I had at that point, three younger siblings, and then me, I'm the oldest. And I was walking ahead of everyone a lot faster. My mom's got my youngest brother on her back. I'm probably 10 or 11. No, I'm probably 9 or 10, I bet. And I got to our cabin before everybody else, like 20 minutes before everybody. She shows up, and right away I can see her coming from a distance, and she's super angry. And I'm like, what's going on? And she storms right up, starts poking me in the chest. Don't you ever go off on your own? Well, she had been walking in, and she's seeing my footprints in the mud. And right on top of my footprints are these big bear footprints. So here's my mom. Think about this. If you're a mother, think about this. You've got 3 of your children with you, one of them on your back. Your other child is ahead of you. In between you is this monster grizzly bear. And like, I mean, what is that going to do to you as a mother?
Sheesh, man.
I went
begin to explain how terrified I'd be. Like, your mom sounds like a crazy, awesome lady.
She was a crazy, awesome lady. She was a one of a kind. She was a soldier. She was tough, and she raised 6 kids, and she was a cool lady.
That's so cool, man. You're awesome. So, I mean, how do you think your upbringing affected your body of work as a whole?
Well, I'm just, it really did affect everything that I do, because, we didn't have television. I would go years without even getting to see a movie in a theater, because it was like over 100 miles to go see a movie. And it just wasn't something that we did until I was a teenager. I could count on my hands the number of times I've been into a movie theater.
Yeah.
Probably one hand, really. So I was always, if there was a chance to sit down and watch TV or watch a movie, that was the cool thing that you just didn't get to do as a kid. But I read a lot of books. We told a lot of stories. So there was always stories being told about this or that, or it was just stories. And so I was always just really fascinated with storytelling, with how to do that. And then cameras, of course, I became obsessed with cameras when I got older.
Mm.
Bought a video camera. Bought a video camera as soon as I could afford one, and started shooting. And so it's just something that I'm just interested in.
Mm.
It
It's,
just always seemed like this foreign thing that I didn't know anything about, and I wanted to be involved in.
so that first video camera that you bought, do you think that's what led you to wanting to do the filmmaking? And did you know from the beginning, or?
Yeah, I was 23 when I got my first video camera. And I would always, like, if somebody had one, like in high school, there was this kid that had one. So we would make these little films and things, but basically we would just film them in camera. This is a long time ago. And, but yeah, in my early 20s, I started mountain climbing and ice climbing by climbing frozen waterfalls. That was my obsession. And so I bought a video camera so that I could film some of that stuff. And, I didn't know anything. This is pre-internet. This is pre-YouTube learning anything. This is like a camera with a tape in it. And
You're just figuring out as you go along, basically.
Just wanted to go out and film. Didn't know anything about audio. Didn't even know what white balancing was. Didn't know any of that stuff, but just would filmed a lot of our adventures out, hiking around, climbing these frozen waterfalls, climbing mountains, doing things like that. And then at some point I decided I want to tell stories for a living. I want this to be my job. So I moved to California.
Wow. Well, you got enough stories to tell, like many a movie. I'm excited to see what you come up with next, man. Like, I've just kind of awestruck by the kind of stories that you have to tell. Like, you need to write more. Like, I just can't wait to read it. It's so cool.
Thanks, Daisy.
So, I mean, when you first got into, like, your first few proper film jobs, did you face any obstacles? And if you did, how did you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, for sure. These are great questions. The big obstacle, I guess, was just initially was just having technical skill. Like I actually always have, I feel like I've always had, like, I've always seen things in my head, but how do you get it out of your head? And how do you realize what you're imagining? That is the hard part. And so early on, again, I didn't know about lenses. I didn't know about focal lengths, wide angles, all that stuff, all the stuff that's very common now. But, I actually, when I moved to California, then I met this guy who's now really one of my closest friends. He had a really nice video camera. So then, and I had ambition. So we just started doing stuff together, and I learned a lot that way, and just started meeting people, just making things and just learning that way. And it was really through video. It was through video and filmmaking that I learned different lens sizes and that stuff. And then I started applying that to more technical photography, which always seemed like, up here, like back then, it just seemed like, oh, there's so much to learn. I don't know about lenses. I don't know about cameras and what to do. Now it's like, it's really easy. And of course you can get on the internet and get all the information you want, but back then you couldn't. There's no way. You had to go to school, or you had to be mentored by someone or something. There was no digital, there's only film. So it's like the cost of learning was much steeper.
I do think I've noticed that too. Like, I mean, I'm still starting out with photography, but I think you can procrastinate so much in your head, and you can Google's amazing. I'm not dogging it down, but you can read all this stuff and get so like hyped up about it. But if you just go take the camera out and figure it out as you go, there's just something beautiful to that whole experience that you can't ever look up and read about. I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion, but
you're going to learn 10 times as much and 10 times faster just by doing it. And it's like, it's like you can watch what someone else is doing or a tutorial, try and duplicate it, but honestly, F that. Just take what you have and go out, start playing. You're going to come back with way more knowledge than when you started, and just repeat, and keep. I like to talk about it. It's like stacking up bricks, little bricks of knowledge. Pretty soon you've got this big castle of knowledge, but you just have to start stacking up your own bricks. And it's not really going to stay in your head in a meaningful way if you're just trying to do what other people are doing. That's what I think.
That's a good answer, man. So, I mean, what do you feel gives you the most satisfaction in the job that you do with your filming? Like, across the world and everything? What do you enjoy about it?
Honestly, for most of the work that I do, I enjoy getting to go somewhere, and I enjoy usually the little bit of downtime that I get to go out and take photos or do stuff on my own. I'm doing a lot of, typically for work, I'm doing like Discovery Channel, do a lot of Nat Geo, do History Channel, do this Netflix thing. A lot of it's like kind of adventure, doc, reality kind of stuff in different places. I mean, that sounds cool. It's not typically the kind of stuff that I like to watch, really, but growing up remotely off grid, I'm able to operate in a really Spartan, stark environment. If I need to camp out, if I need to go overnight, I'm comfortable doing that. Like on this Adak show that's on Netflix now, we had a whole crew. We had a director, I had camera guys, a cinematographer, that wasn't me, sound people, PAs, and shooting the show. And I was there and I helped them out, but my primary role was to go off alone and shoot portions of the show where it was in a remote spot. There's a place in the middle where a couple characters get on a boat and go camp out on the other side of the island for a few days. I went and did that all alone without a crew. I did all the audio, did all the cinematography, the drone. I directed it. I made sure the story tracked. So that's actually the most fun of what I like to do. But yeah,
that's awesome.
When I can go off by myself and just hone in and tell a story with my own camera by myself, I actually like that. I probably have issues with authority. I don't know.
I mean, I think when you've got a vision and you just, you want to execute it, I think that's really helpful. I think, not a lot of people can just go out and do that. I think it's really cool, for sure.
It takes a long time to, I'm old now and beat up. So it just takes a long time to be, I wouldn't say so much learn. It's like, I don't really know any more than most people, but it's just kind of the experience to trust your gut and to believe in your point of view and what you're trying to do.
No, I think that's really important. Your video about trusting your instincts it really resonated with me, because you have that small, tiny voice that you just got to sometimes just go with it. Because 99% of the time it's right, That's insane.
100%. It's a muscle. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. If you don't,
for sure,
then it'll go away. It'll go away.
Mm-hmm. I believe you, man. The day after I watched that, I think I messaged you. I was like, dude, I watched your video and then I did the shoot and I trusted my gut and then, hey, it all worked out in the end. So that was cool.
And then it feels really cool. It feels amazing.
It does feel awesome. It's like, I was right all along.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've done so much work, but what is your greatest achievement so far, personally?
Oh, geez.
That's a broad one, sorry.
I mean, work-wise or life, I'll tell you this, Daisy, I don't feel like I've achieved very much or I've arrived anywhere, or like I'm creatively, professionally, I'm in the fight. Like I'm trying to do things I haven't done. I'm trying to do big things that I want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet. I'm writing a movie right now that I want to direct. I'm putting together, building a pitch for this epic documentary expedition into the Amazon that I want to do.
Oh.
I'm hoping to get someone like Netflix or Apple or somebody to get behind. So I'm going to take it to them when I have it all together. But I professionally and creatively haven't really, I'm not, I don't feel accomplished at all. Like I feel like I've scratched the surface of what I really want to do. So I have been able to make a living filming and through filming things and through photography for, the better part of a couple decades at this point. But like, okay, that's fine. But I haven't done the big things I want to do.
You're just
I'm still trying. I'm getting it. I'm getting by, but I haven't done the big things I would want to. I'm hungry.
I'm excited about what you got coming. Like, it's gonna be great. That's cool, man. So I mean, you travel a lot, and like you say, you know, you work away for prolonged periods, and you're away from your family. And I mean, I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure other people are as well. But it's easy to feel like restricted in your 9 to 5 grind, or you know, I can't go traveling, so I can't take a decent photo, or you know, like you just feel dissatisfied in the place where you're at. So I mean, I was wondering if you had any advice for someone out there that feels stuck and perhaps uninspired in their surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to, it's the grass is greener. You know, it's easy to like look at other people's, like, oh, look at some of these amazing pictures. Someone went to India, and like, geez, if I could only do that. No, but honestly, just you're in your own backyard, your own people in your own neighborhood, in your own town. Go out and peel back those layers and dig into it, because you're closer to it. You know it in a deeper way. And but I guarantee there is so much that you don't know, that you haven't seen, and that you haven't explored. And so you're always, it's like, you know, you're always looking out past the horizon and thinking that, well, someday I'll get out there and I'll do the really good work. The really good work is probably in your own backyard. And it's the place you can learn. It's the place you can dig deep. And if anybody says, oh, you know, I'm stuck in this little town, or I'm stuck here, have some imagination, get out and push yourself. Because I guarantee other people would show up in your town and be like, look at this amazing place. Look at all these cool people. Look at all these cool places. And maybe because you see it every day, you don't see it that way. But take the time. Take the time.
Yeah, I guess just stretch yourself, and I guess take photos of different things that you wouldn't normally take photos of, and try out a new skill, like, I don't know, double exposures or something. And yeah, I like that answer. That was a really good answer. I dig that. I'm guilty of it too sometimes, man. I live in like the teeniest village, and I think like this time last year I was like, oh, my life. But I think the more you appreciate where you are and the people, like you say, you do see it in a completely different light. So that was some really valuable information there. That was cool. I mean, all right, so what have you, I know you read a lot, but have you read anything recently that has really inspired you?
Yeah, and I should read more. Like, that's the thing I'm trying to do more. Usually I'm reading before bed, and I'm like, that I'm tired, so I don't read very much, but I need to read a lot more, because it's really useful. Yeah, I switch back and forth between fiction and nonfiction, but the last nonfiction I read was, this guy wrote this series of books about observing wolves in Yellowstone National Park, which is in the United States, when they reintroduced wolves to the park in the 90s. And he spent several years just cruising around watching wolves, and wrote several books about it. And it gets deep into their behavior and their personalities. And it's like an epic story. It's pretty darn cool. Before that, I read this book, which is from your country, which is called The Peregrine. And it was recommended. I was watching an interview. I watched several interviews with Werner Herzog, who's a documentarian, a filmmaker. And he was like, you have to read The Peregrine if you want to be a storyteller. And it's this guy that just walked around rural countryside in England and observed peregrine falcons for years, and wrote a book about it. And it's one of the most beautiful, riveting, amazing books you'll ever read. So anybody, you want to be a storyteller, read The Peregrine. It's freaking awesome.
I think I'll give that a read, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and that's not coming from me. That's, yeah, Werner Herzog says you need to read it, not me. So go read it. He was right. It's amazing.
Definitely. That sounds amazing. Cool, man. And I mean, I know earlier you mentioned a few things that you've got in the pipeline, but can you tell us anything about some up and coming projects, if you're allowed to? Or
not real. I mean, I have a cool photography film project coming up that I can't talk about it and I won't, but everybody will see that in about 3 or 4 months. And then I don't know, I'm going to Alaska to do a scout slash um, short documentary shoot. I'm doing that in a couple of weeks. And other than that, I'm just writing every day and doing a lot of photography and developing some things. So
You're gorgeous.
I don't have any.
Sorry.
There's a delay yet.
I was saying your photography that you're doing lately is amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I here, look at this. I shot this. Let's see if this works. I shot this musician girl last night who's really good, and it came out pretty good. Let's see. See if I can see if this will work over Zoom. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Let's see.
Oh, dang. Oh my goodness. She's gorgeous. And that hat. Oh, beautiful.
The red hat really did it. Yeah, the red hat was awesome. But yeah, so I'm shooting a lot of musicians lately because I love music so much. And I would honestly, if I don't really do photography professionally. I'm a filmmaker professionally, but I would like to work with more musicians and capture them and be in that world. So I'm making an effort to seek out and to photograph musicians as much as I can. That's what I'm working on personally.
I'm sure there's an awful lot where you are, like loads to choose from.
There are. Well, there are, but like, musicians are artists, and to get close to them, it's like, if they're successful, it's like you can't really get access. So you gotta know somebody or have a personal relationship. So it's pretty hard. So, yeah, but I'm working on it.
Good job, man. And so where can our viewers find you online? I'll link everything down in the description at a later date, but.
Well, I mean, the best place is like just go to my website, which is benstaley.com. And I don't know, it's all there. And there's social links and all this stuff, which, yeah.
I highly recommend people read Memoirs of an Alaskan on your website. I binge read the whole thing at once. I was like, oh my goodness, where's the rest of it? Just incredible.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
It was so
Thank
good.
you, Daisy.
Really, like, seriously.
Words are hard. Yeah.
No, I know. Like, I suck at writing. I wish I could write, but that's a bad excuse. I should practice more. Yeah.
Well, it's a skill, Some people are naturally better at it, but you just got to do it all the time. I don't think I'm a very good writer. I really struggle at it. It's really hard for me. So, but yeah, I should do it more too.
I think the more you read, the better at writing you get as well. So I should probably do more reading. Cool, man.
100%, 100%.
And one final question I have for you is, what does creativity mean to you?
What does creativity mean to me? I for me, it's just life. Like I have to, if I don't get to be creative every day in some way, I get really unhappy. So for me, it's just like a way of existing. It's a way of expressing myself. Again, I'm not super good with words, so I would rather say something in an image than try and talk about something. So creativity for me is really just it's the fuel that keeps my engine going day after day.
That's a beautiful answer. I can relate to that so much, man.
Cool. Good questions, Daisy.
Thank you so much for spending the time with me today, just chatting about yourself. And yeah, I will link everything, all your information down below. And thanks again, Ben. You're an absolute star.
Okay, good. Hey, good luck with this this interview YouTube thing. I'm very proud of you. This is awesome.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's just fun, isn't it? Like, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
You're doing great.
Cheers, man. Well, have a lovely day. Go drink some more coffee, and I'll go drink some wine.
Sounds good. Cool. Take care, Daisy.
Have a good one. Bye.